Hey, what's up guys? I thought I should make a quick and short video, talk to you guys about some mistakes that people make with resin spending. And I seem to be getting the same questions a lot about these things, and I just want to clarify it to make sure you guys don't waste your resin and don't waste your primo gems. If you do resin refill, it can get expensive and you could be wasting it or using it inefficiently. I just want to kind of make a fast video basically telling you guys how you should be using it, but obviously it's a game, so play it how you want. Also, I've been working on my Abyss guide, but I don't think I'll get it out before Ganyu release, and I do want to make videos on Ganyu first, so that'll be delayed a bit. That being said, let's get right into it. So the first thing we're going to talk about is your character leveling, ascending, and all that stuff. Now, the reason I say don't waste your resin is because almost every resource in this game comes from resin, right? Mora, XP, apart from like battle pass and events, like if you buy the $10 battle pass, but you know, even more for free-to-play players, you're getting the majority of your Mora, your XP books, and just about everything from spending resin. So you want to be efficient with how you use them, especially, as I said, if you aren't really doing resin refreshes, if you don't spend primo gems on it. So because of that, I want you guys to know a few things. First of all, it's not worth leveling characters all the way unless you have excess materials. What I mean is, as you'll notice when I go through characters, a lot of my characters are ascended but not leveled, and there isn't really a point in leveling them all the way unless you just have extra resources. Now, to show you guys what I mean, if we go here, you'll see my Ning is level 80 out of 90, right? I ascended her, and the reason I ascended her is because you get bonuses from ascending, right? You see this geo damage bonus increase and base stat. It is really nice, especially the geo damage bonus will really add up, especially on a main DPS like Ningguang, and that's why I ascended her. And actually, and I cannot stress this enough, the most important part of leveling your DPS up, leveling a character past 60 out of 70, ascending them, is the talents you get, because like the scaling, you guys can go check the scaling on your Diluc ult, but at level 8 it gets much higher. You can see if I get it up again, all these scalings go up. Same thing with my E, same thing with my normal attacks, obviously, and you're normal attacking constantly with Diluc. And this DPS increase on like every hit really does add up and does matter. So that is the main reason why you would level a character. But for talents, obviously you don't need to level like past the ascension thing. You just gotta ascend. You can upgrade your talents and leave them at 80 out of 90 or 70 out of 80 or whatever. But the reason I don't get her to 90 is because if you guys look here, if I use all my purple books, right, all 87, it's only enough to get her to level 86, and getting her 86 costs almost 350k Mora, which is an insane amount. So the amount of resin I need to spend to get these XP books and to get the Mora is huge for barely any increase. To show you guys how little a level increases, we're gonna get my Diluc to level 88 just for this video. Well, this is a lot of XP books. I don't want to do this, but whatever. So I spent like 76k Mara there, I think, and a bunch of like 20 XP books, and I got a base attack increase of 5, which isn't bad, but the point is like it's just not worth leveling your characters before you do other stuff. What do I mean by other stuff? Well, ascending your characters is super important. Your main priority when using resin is ascending your DPS and making sure that your supports are level 60 out of 70 for just about every support, at least 60 out of 70. Now, why? If you guys don't know this, when you do ascend a character past 60, so to 70, but you don't actually need to level them, you unlock their second talent. And for some characters, well, for most characters, honestly, their second talent is really good. If you look at some of my underlevel characters, right, she has the first passive, but she doesn't have the second one because she is only level 20 out of 40. I ascended her once, but I did not ascend her past 60 to get this other talent. So definitely something you want to be prioritizing with your resin. I would leave most supports at 60 out of 70, and then if you want for your DPS characters, you can level them past it, obviously. I ascend my characters to 80 out of 90 usually, because I'm AR 50 plus, and then I just won't level them past 80. Now, obviously, these two characters I did a bit, but I don't think it's worth it, honestly, unless you have a ton of resources to spare. The only thing I want to say is for supports, usually 60 out of 70 is enough, but leveling them past that lets you not only level their talents further, like you'll see my Venti ult is 8 and I want to get it higher, but also for some support characters that are like burst supports, so that do a lot of damage, right? Like Venti does a lot of damage, Fischl does a lot of damage, like Zhongli is a burst support. They might want to be leveled further so that their burst does deal more damage when you use it, right? You want Albedo to be dealing damage. Leveling him doesn't matter that much, but one, it lets you upgrade your talents further, which is a big deal, and two, you do get, you do get a bonus from ascending, obviously, which is nice. It does add up, but it shouldn't be your number one priority. It should be DPS and then supports to 60 out of 70, and then after that you can focus on leveling them if you want, if you already have good artifacts, which should be prioritized above leveling. Now, on the contrary though, leveling weapons is really important. Now, not only will ascending weapons increase their attack, but every time you level them 5 times, or like 80 to 85, 85 to 90, their secondary stat will increase, and it'll just give you so much more base attack, so much more damage, because not only is base attack important, but also the secondary stat, and just overall leveling your weapon, it gives you much more DPS than leveling your character like once they're ascended. As you guys can see, if I were to get my string list from 80 to 90, and this is already, once it's already ascended, I do get a pretty big base attack increase, and a secondary stat increase, which is pretty nice overall. Once again, for this, obviously I recommend focusing on DPS weapons the most. Like having my Wolf's Gravestone have this much base attack on the character that I use the most is really nice, because then all my hits will deal a bit more damage and it adds up a ton over time. Well, after ascending characters you need to ascend and leveling your weapons, there are a few other things that are maybe as important or a bit less. I'd say something that's about as important is leveling your talents. Obviously, if you guys don't know, leveling talents increases your damage a huge amount. If your support character is 60 out of 70, getting your talents up is way more important than leveling them. So I would definitely do these talent level up material domains whenever you can, like on the day that corresponds to whatever material you need, or on Sundays where you can choose whatever you want. And obviously, if you guys don't know, on Sundays you can choose which material now. It used to be random, which mat you'd get, but now you can literally choose which one you want. So definitely farm these on Sundays if you want. And if you guys don't know, leveling your talents does do quite a lot. Like the damage increase is pretty huge. So it's definitely something you want to be doing. Now, a lot of you may have known what I said so far, but now I'm going to go into some things that I get asked a ton, and basically more of my opinion and why, and I'm going to justify my position. So first of all, people ask a lot if you should farm artifacts at AR 40 or 45. And most people say 45, but I'm going to tell you guys why I think farming before 45 is actually efficient. So obviously at 45 plus, you're guaranteed a 5-star, and 40 before 45 is roughly a 1 in 3 to get a 5-star from my testing, and I did about 150 runs until before 45. So on paper, definitely waiting till 45 to use like your fragile resin and to just grind artifacts is worth it. However, what I've noticed is if you do all the other stuff from AR 40, starting at AR 40, like you do world bosses, you get your talent materials, weapons, you know, just that stuff, you'll end up being maybe AR 42, 43, and then you'll have your boss mats, you'll have ascended your DPS, your weapons, whatever, but then you'll have extra resin. You'll be AR like 43, let's say, and you'll have 2 levels where you should be grinding artifacts, because first of all, if you want to do Abyss before 45, you need good artifacts, and second of all, even if you get a bunch of 4-stars, right? Let's say you don't get enough 5-stars, those can still be used as artifact fodder to level your artifacts in the future, because you will need a lot of artifact XP. It's really hard to level up your artifacts. Also, I don't know if you guys remember one of my first videos, but my first Diluc video, I actually recorded at like AR 42-ish. I had a pretty good 5-star and 4-star set that I was using at AR 42, 43, and I was able to clear some of the deeper floors of Abyss before even hitting 45. So yes, obviously if you want to, you can wait till 45, right? But my point is, you need a lot of artifact XP. Look at how many plus 20s I have. You need a lot of stuff you can throw in, right? So even if AR 40 is not the most efficient, I think it is still smart to farm at AR 40, because you're going to get some good 5-stars, but you're also going to get a bunch of 4-stars you can throw into your artifacts once you're 45. But obviously at 40, prioritize world bosses, prioritize whatever else you need that you can basically prep before 45. But after that, I would still do, I wouldn't be scared to do anything at 40. I would just save my like fragile resin till 45. Now, speaking of artifact domains, I want to talk to you guys about basically resin efficiency on which artifact domains you should be farming. Now, yes, you guys know, and if you watch my channel, I say this a lot, you should be prioritizing your DPS first. This isn't nothing new. So if you are running Diluc and you don't spend much time on anyone else, obviously go for his set first. But what if you need 2 different DPSs for Abyss? What if like you run child main DPS, but you also have a sub DPS, right? Because your child is like C0, so you need to swap to like, you know, a backup DPS. What should you do? Well, obviously the main rule is prioritize whoever you're using the most, whichever DPS is more important to you. However, if one of the domains gives you 2 sets that you want, I would recommend doing that one first. So for example, there are a lot of good sets on Kaching, and I don't want to get into her artifact sets and make like a debate on which one's the best, but Thunder Fury and Thunder Soother are both viable options on her. Now, I used to not like Thunder Soother because of how it worked in the old Abyss 12, but in the new one, it's actually viable. So I think both of these sets are good on specific characters. So if you do need both of them, or if you want one of the 2, let's say you want to build Kaching and you have no good artifacts and you're like, okay, I'll do this domain, and whichever one I get better substats on, I can consider using. Like for example, you go in, you want Thunder Soother as your main goal, but you can use Thunder Fury as well if you don't get any good Thunder Soother pieces. It basically makes it so that you don't have to spend as much resin. If you find a good set like you're just getting Thunder Soother artifacts and no Thunder Fury, you could be like, okay, well, I'll use Thunder Soother or something like that. Also, some domains have artifact sets that are good on multiple characters. For example, Noblesse Oblige is just honestly like one of the best sets in the game. It's used on almost every support character, like at least the 2 or the 4-piece set. They're both super good, and usually one character on my team will have 4-piece Noblesse, like pretty much always, or at least a 2-piece on like 1 or 2 characters. So some domains where you need a ton of artifacts are very smart to farm, and domains where you need both sets are also very smart. I personally dislike Maidens and think that Noblesse is usually better, but on low investment healers on like Barbara or in the early game, Maidens can be good, and Verdescent is like one of the best sets in the game. Very, very good for Anemo characters. So stuff like this can be efficient for you. The best example is probably this domain because of how good both of these sets are. So to sum up what I'm saying, let me give you an example. Let's say you run Razor as a DPS and you have supports that need Noblesse, right? Almost everyone is going to need Noblesse in the long term. Now Razor's best comp is a 4-piece Gladiator, but Glad is really hard to farm, especially before AR like 55 where you're guaranteed a 5-star, because you need 40 resin to kill just one boss, and then it's like, are you going to get Wanderers, are you going to get Glad, and then is it going to be a 5-star? It's not guaranteed until 55, so it's really hard to farm Glad. So if you can't get the 4-piece Gladiator set, a 2-piece Bloodstained with a 2-piece like Gladiator is a very good alternative. And so grinding this domain like almost excessively can be really good, because then you can get like a perfect substat 2-piece Bloodstained just by going for Noblesse. Because getting Bloodstained with amazing substats can actually just be better than like Glad with completely horrible substats. And if you guys think I'm exaggerating on the importance of Noblesse, if you guys look here, I have 11 plus 20 Noblesses and another plus 8 that I'm going to level soon. But yeah, I run like a 2-piece or a 4-piece of the set on so many characters. It's so important. And so because of that, I just have a ton of Bloodstained like by default. And I have thrown some of these away. I didn't keep them all. But some of my Bloodstained pieces are amazing. And if I were to use Razor more, I just have like a lot of really good artifacts ready for them. If you guys don't know by now, there are 3 bosses that you should be doing every week. Now this is common knowledge, but just make sure that you do this either as late as possible or once you've leveled like to the highest world level you can get in that week. So for example, on my free-to-play account, I'm currently AR 26, and I'm not going to do my bosses until I hit AR 30 because I think I can get that before the week ends. And so the thing is, you can increase your world level basically every 5 levels. And so because of that, you'll get better rewards from these weekly bosses, from your Wolf, your Storm Terror, and your Child boss if you unlock them all. And so because of that, make sure you do your weekly bosses once you've hit the highest world level possible for that week. Sorry if this video seems a bit less focused than my usual ones. I just kind of want to clarify things and make sure you guys don't fall in the common traps of like, I can't farm artifacts until 45. If you choose to wait, that's fine, but like don't get baited by people saying it's like never do artifacts before 45 or always do this domain, or like the thing is, if you have other stuff to do before 45, sure, go ahead and wait for artifacts. But a lot of my artifacts, actually some of my current Diluc artifacts are the same for my first video in October that I made at AR 42, I think 43, something like that. So I still have some of the same artifacts, I think 1 or 2 from back then. And even if you don't get good 5-stars, some sets like the Verdescent Venerer is such a good set that you just can run a full 4-star set and it'll be better than any other option. It'll be so good, and you don't need to focus on like leveling your Verdescent Venerer on someone like Sucrose, who even with low investment, as long as she has 4-piece Verdescent, which I don't have for some reason, she'll be very efficient as a support, which is why I recommend after your boss materials, after your talents, all that stuff, I do think getting artifacts at AR 45 is smart, especially because you can use all the 4-stars you get as artifact fodder, as level up material for your better artifacts that you will eventually get. And one of the biggest things about farming at AR 40 is that you can get 4-star sets that are actually viable late game. For example, Defender's Will, like the 2-piece on Albedo, is a great option, and Theory Crafters actually use it on Albedo, and other 4-piece sets like Scholar and Gambler are viable late game. And there are also some 5-star support sets that you can use as like 4-stars, like for Verdescent, because you don't really need the bonus stats for them. You just need the set effect for them for like an Anemo support, just so that it's efficient. And obviously, eventually, if you have time, if you have resin, you can upgrade it. But that last part is just my opinion. Like, you feel free to wait till 45 if you want. I just want to talk to you guys about resin priority, and even if you do that, the rest of this video still applies. Obviously, try to maximize resin efficiency, especially as a free-to-play player or as someone who only does like the 50 refresh. And the last thing I want to say is for Mora and XP ley lines, feel free to do those pretty much whenever, either early game or late game, especially past AR 45, because at that point, like, you're gonna need Mora, you're gonna need XP books, and there's not really a good way to get them. But yeah, that about sums it up, guys. I really hope this video helped you guys. If you don't know, I stream almost every night on Twitch, so come follow me, link in the description if you want. I will be working on a Ganyu video soon. As soon as she's out, I'll do that, so stay tuned for that if you guys are interested. I'm going to make a support video and a DPS video, best build, all that. I'm not sure if she's going to be good or not, guys. I'll be honest in my review. If she's not that great, like, I'll tell you, but I'll still make a guide on her because people play characters they like, right? You don't have to play the best characters, so I'll be honest. and show you best builds, all that stuff. Anyways, hope this video helped you guys. I know it was a bit shorter than usual, not the same type of video I usually make, but hey, we're experimenting. Hope the video was informative. Like 85% of my viewers are not subscribed, so if you want to sub, I appreciate it. So yeah, subscribe if you want to. If you don't, that's okay too, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.